What up? I'm here. Running a little behind, but I'm here. I just did a live stream yesterday, and I'm suffering. This 50 below crap is just driving me up the wall. And since I'm sitting here, I figured might as well get online and do a little stream. I got a present in the mail today, and I'm very excited about it. So for the first time, here is my brand new hat, which I absolutely love. So sick. And on the back, it's got the classic emblem, which is even better. So just got that off of Fanatics, and I'm super excited about it because it was super cheap. I'm back. I'm here. Josh, what's up, dude? Thanks for coming in. George, thanks for being here, dude. Appreciate you guys. And yeah, what Josh said, this is big. That's huge. I know it's late, so I'm not expecting a ton of people, but what I do want to do is I want to throw this up for anybody if they want to jump in, and they'll be more than welcome to do so. There we go. And it's pinned to the top, so you guys can click on that if you want to jump in. Feel more than welcome to. Let's see. There's a few things I wanted to do tonight, whatever. I'm going to Mexico in 4 days. Wednesday night, I'm leaving, and me and my wife are heading to Mexico for 6 days of a break from this 50 degrees below zero crap. And I can't tell you, I'm so excited. Now, this hat, the reason I got this is twofold. Obviously, I wanted a new Dolphins hat, but my wife and I, we got married with these colors. This was our wedding colors, and now this hat, not only does it stand for Miami Dolphins for me, but it also stands for my wife and I's initials, which is Melody and Dirk. And I think it's pretty cool to have it. So I'm going to wear this on the trip to Mexico with her. And I'm so excited to get out of here. Oh my goodness. I'm going to be sitting on a beach. This Alaskan with pasty white skin is going to be on a beach burning, and I'm so excited for it. So it's 5:30 here. It's pitch black outside, 50 below. I mean, on the East Coast, you guys, what is it, like 9:30? But I still wanted to get on here and talk a little more about some stuff. And I'm so excited to see the games this week, and not just the Dolphins game. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of reasons to be looking at this Dolphins game. It's a chance for us to play spoiler, right? And that's always exciting, especially when our season's pretty much over. So that we're playing for pride, and we're playing to screw up the Patriots a little bit, and I'm down for it. And we get to evaluate players, and that's huge because we have so much young talent on this team this year, and there's been some flashes in the pan, and I'm excited. Oh man. Okay, Josh, you know what? I'm going to get a big frame for it, and I'm going to take the poster down, and I'm going to put it right there. It didn't willingly come down. If you'll notice, my Merino jersey is out of its shadow box as well. It's because they were hanging at the top above the door area, the back there, and my oldest son is home. And when it's 50 below, everything freezes really bad, right? So there's ice buildup on all the doors and the windows and stuff. And he was leaving the house, and he shut the door and he slammed it kind of hard. And since it was all iced up, he had to shut it pretty freaking hard. And when he did, both of the skyboxes fell off and broke. And so my orange Gin jersey is hanging on my door for now, and the Merino jersey's over there on a coat hanger until I can get some new skyboxes and rehang them. But I will be rehanging my Ted Ginn jersey, good sir. I'll be doing it. I'm not giving up on Ted Ginn. He's still awesome. I love him. Oh man. And I still have a present to send you as well. Yeah, pretty bummed about the sky boxes or the boxes that the jerseys were in, but it is what it is. At least the jerseys are okay. That Ted Ginn jersey is autographed, so I don't want that getting messed up. Merino jersey, I wish it was autographed, but it's just cool. It's just that black one. I love that jersey. Anyway, what I want to do today is, since we have such a huge week of football and so many implications all the way throughout the NFL, NFC, AFC, everything, I was going to kind of look through all of that. We're going to kind of go through the playoff simulator and see what I think is going to happen and where everything's going to shake out. And we're going to look at a couple injury reports from the Dolphins. And there's been some miscommunication from other YouTubers about some people being on IR and some people not being, and some people being guaranteed out when they're not. So going to talk about all that, a couple other things. You're such a hater. And just kind of a little bit of a light discussion today. And if anybody does want to jump in, feel free to. The post is at the very top, or the link is at the top. So if you want to jump in, feel free to. Let's see. There we go. Okay. Looking good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my face tiny. There we go. Little me over there in the corner. And then we have this simulator. And I think there's a bunch of different ones you guys can use, but I really feel like the easiest one to use, and probably the best one for me personally, is the one on profootballnetwork.com. Their playoff simulator is amazing, and you can use it throughout the whole season. You can do it to use it to do draft order, everything like that, and it's the way to go for sure. So let's look at this. Right now, over here on the right of the screen, you can see what the playoff teams are if they started today. If the playoffs started today, that's what you're looking at. You have in the AFC, you have the Broncos at 1, Patriots at 2, Jaguars at 3. Now, any of those 3 teams could actually wind up with the number 1 seed after week 18. And that's the crazy part. It's insane to think that that's a possibility for the Jaguars, but they've been playing that good, Have they been overly impressive? I wouldn't say so, but their schedule has been a lot more difficult than the Patriots has been. And they're right up there, and they have a chance to end up with that number 1 seed. How does that happen? Well, if the Patriots lose and the Broncos lose, Jacksonville wins, they get that spot, period. And that's incredible to think about. Josh is excited for the mock draft. Not yet, but it is coming, dude. And that's like, you and I both get really excited for the off-season stuff. I do too. I love it. I love the draft. I love all the off-season signings. I love all the possibilities. It gets me excited. I love it. So you're not the only one there. But looking at this, I'm getting ready for Mexico, so I have to drink my pineapple soda, The playoffs are going to be amazing, George. Dude, they're going to be great. I'm so excited for these playoffs. The only thing that would make these playoffs better, obviously, is if we were in it. But we're not, So I'm looking at this as I'm a football lover. I love football. So even though we're not in the playoffs, these playoffs are going to be good. Me too. I'm super excited to see what we end up doing there, especially now with the advisor being hired and brought in. I think Troy Aikman's going to help this process a lot. And to me, it shows also, like we talked about yesterday, that it shows that Stephen Ross is actually stepping back and saying, I'm going to let a professional work on this. I'm not going to have the final say on this. I'm not going to make all the decisions here. I'm going to let somebody who knows the game better than me run this process. And I think that's a great thing. So over here on the left of the screen, we have all the games that are for week 18. Okay. And obviously you've seen some of this stuff already happen. Let's see. Tampa Bay got the win over Carolina. So that essentially takes Carolina off the board, I think, right? Is that what that does? Yes. So let's see here. The first game we have to pick here is San Francisco at Seattle. Now, this is in San Francisco, and this is a tough one. These are 2 teams that are playing really good football right now, and it's hard for me, even though Seattle is playing San Francisco in San Francisco. I don't see San Francisco winning this game. For brevity's sake, we'll pick Seattle to win that game against San Francisco. You have Green Bay playing in Minnesota. You have Green Bay playing Minnesota in Minnesota. I think Green Bay takes that for obvious reasons. It is a division game, but I still see Green Bay winning that game. Baltimore or Cincinnati playing Cleveland, and Cincinnati's at home. Let me take Cincinnati there. That doesn't really affect the playoffs. Indianapolis at Houston. I think Houston's going to pull that out. And Dallas against the Giants. I'll take Dallas there, finishing with a 9. Yeah, man. Finishing with a winning record. Wow. Well, kind of winning, 8-8 and 1 tie. New Orleans playing Atlanta. This is one. It doesn't really affect much. I'm going to take it New Orleans to win this game. I think New Orleans has been playing some pretty good football lately. I think Jacksonville takes care of business against Tennessee. Jacksonville's at home. I don't see that happening any other way. I see Buffalo beating the Jets at home. Buffalo's at home, rather. Chicago and Detroit. This game, this has got upset written all over it to me, but I'm going to go ahead and take Chicago to win that game. The Chargers at Denver. This is another one that I cannot wait to watch this game tomorrow. The Chargers at Denver. It's going to be a good football game. Let's say Denver wins that. The Rams taking care of business against Arizona. I have the Chiefs beating Las Vegas. And let's say this is the one that let's just see what happens if Miami takes care of New England. Now, this is the interesting part. If all the things happen like I think, especially the Denver game, if New England beats Miami, they're going to be the number 2 seed. If New England loses to Miami, they'll be the number 3 seed. What is the score in that game right now? In the Seattle game? Anybody know off the top of their head? Let's put San Francisco winning against Seattle. I just don't know what the score is. I don't know what to put there. Let me just check before we do this. I'm curious now. Okay. Seattle's up 10-3 in the third. Yeah, let's go ahead and mark it down for Seattle taking that. All right, so if Miami ends up pulling that win out against New England, well, let me do these real quick. Philadelphia, I think, beats Washington for sure. This is another great game. Baltimore at Pittsburgh. I'm going to go ahead and take Pittsburgh in that game. So if those things all happen, you're looking at the Patriots at the number 3 seed if Miami wins. If they lose, the Patriots will be the number 2 seed, assuming that Denver wins their game. And basically what I'm saying here is Miami has a chance to kind of spoil the Patriots a little bit here no matter what. Even if it's not for the number 1 seed, they're going to bump them down to the number 3. So so that also tells you that the Patriots are going to be playing this game to win. They're not going to be playing protection games where they're trying to protect players and sit people. That's not happening in this game. It's going to be a hard game for Miami to try to pull out. So you figure if Miami loses, they'll be the number 2 seed, and then we're going to see these kind of games in that wild card weekend. That's just going to be so good. You're going to see Pittsburgh taking on the Texans. You're going to see the Jaguars playing the Bills, and you're going to see the Chargers at the Patriots. I would be so excited for those. You'd also get to see a divisional matchup for the NFC with the Bears and the Packers. You'll get to see San Francisco 49ers taking on the Eagles, and you'll get to see Los Angeles Rams taking on the Buccaneers. This NFC South division is upsetting to me. having a team with a losing record being the number 4 seed. That's ridiculous to me. I can't stand it when a team with a losing record winds up being a division winner. It just drives me nuts. And if they are a division winner, do they deserve to be a division winner at 8 and 9? Do they deserve to be the number 4 seed? Look at the 5, 6, and 7 teams: 12-5, 12-5, 10-6, and 1, 10-6 and 1. And the Buccaneers at 8 and 9 are going to get a home game. It drives me nuts thinking about it. I can't even begin to think about that. You know what, George, I do too. I would love to see Quinn Ewers would go in there with the Miami Dolphins into Foxborough at 30 degrees and come out with a win. I agree. That's kind of what I'm suggesting is that I own you. I agree with you. I think that they won the division, so they should get a playoff spot. But when it comes to seeding, they should not be guaranteed a home game against one of the teams that have 3 or 4 more wins than them. That's just it's ridiculous to think that that's even a possibility, right? And I know that none of this is set in stone because so many things are going to change here very shortly. Like let's play this game here. Say Jacksonville wins. Let's say Denver loses. And let's say the Dolphins beat the Patriots. There's you right there. Jacksonville at number 1, Patriots at number 3, and the Broncos at number 2. It's insane. So a few things change, and all this could be different. If Denver wins, or let's see. If Denver wins, they're the number 1 seed, period. All they have to do is win. That's all they have to do. If Denver loses and the Patriots win, they're the number 1 seed no matter what Jacksonville does. But if the Broncos and the Patriots lose, Jacksonville gets that number 1 seed. And that's nuts to think about. What a great thing they've done. That's another example of a team that's really gone from being complete trash to being a league leader the next year. Liam Cohen has done a magnificent job coaching that team. And I think that a lot of us, including myself, I really didn't think he was going to be that good of a coach. I mean, I know what he did in college, but I did not think that he was going to be able to come into the NFL and do what he did with the Jacksonville Jaguars. They've been not like blowing teams out and not winning amazing games, but they're winning games. And they're playing good football. So I don't see any way that Jacksonville loses against Tennessee. I think they finish 13-4, and I think they handle business and they leave it up to chance to see what position they get in those top 3 spots. But it isn't totally impossible to think that New England would lose and that the Broncos could possibly lose too. The Broncos have a tough game to play. I mean, the Chargers are no slouch, but Denver is at home and they'll be playing hard to get that spot. So, but I tell you what, if this happens, if Broncos lose and Patriots lose and Jacksonville wins, these playoffs are going to be insane. If that happens, where Jacksonville is number 1, look at the playoff matchups that we're going to wind up with. You're going to see the Buffalo Bills traveling to a Mile High Stadium and playing the Broncos. You're going to get the Patriots and Chargers. You're still going to get Steelers and Texans. Like that, those are great. And let's see. Now, here's the thing. If San Francisco manages to beat Seattle, look what happens. This is what happens if Seattle beats San Francisco. Seahawks are number 1 in the NFC. If San Francisco wins, oh my goodness. San Francisco pulls the number 1 seed in the NFC. Unreal. Kind of a little bit of a collapse by the Los Angeles Rams at the end of the season here. Um, and that's even if the Rams win. Even if the Rams beat Arizona in Week 18, if San Francisco wins this game, they're number 1 seed. I'm trying to look and see if there's any other way that this could unfold for the NFC. No, there's not. San Francisco will get the number 1 seed if they can beat Seattle today. That's crazy. That's crazy. I think what I need to do is that if you guys aren't watching that game, you need to go ahead and plug that in right now, because that's a game that's got playoff implications written all over it. But I suppose the big question here is, can the Dolphins finish 8-9 for the season and defeat the New England Patriots at home? Can that actually happen? I think it can. I think there's a way for it to happen. I mean, prediction wise, I had to make a prediction, and I think the Patriots will beat Miami. But I mean, do I want that? No, I do not want that. I want the Patriots to lose. I want Miami to finish 4-2 in the division. I want us to get this win so bad. I'm pulling up the Seattle game right now just so I can have it. I want to be kind of watching it while we're talking and stuff tonight. Still 10-3. Man. And these games that I just picked, though, to see this happen, none of this is out of the realm of possibility. I mean, some of these games are kind of a toss-up, but Green Bay at Minnesota, I mean, 98% of the NFL fans are going to pick Green Bay to win there. Most people probably going to take Cincinnati to beat Cleveland. Houston, most people are going to take them to wallop Indianapolis. You know, Dallas is probably definitely going to beat the Giants. There's a couple here that I picked that are kind of toss-ups, but these are games that aren't going to matter, like New Orleans at Atlanta, you know. Yeah, George, it's nuts. Yeah, if San Francisco loses, they're the 6th seed with what I chose here. If they win, they're the number 1. It's unreal, and that's all from just one game. What a crazy season this has been. You got to love the parity, right? We can't be all bummed just because Miami is not in the playoffs. I mean, this is one of those crazy games. And San Francisco is wearing those sick jerseys this week. I love them. 10-3, 6 minutes 47 seconds left in the third quarter. So looking at these games, there's just, I mean, I don't really see much else that's interchangeable. I mean, you could say Baltimore is going to end up beating Pittsburgh, and if that's the case, you know the drill. Pittsburgh gets the number 4 seed, or Baltimore. That's pretty much it. Nothing else changes. Whoever loses that game, Pittsburgh or Baltimore, they're out of the playoffs. What a great game that's going to be. Man. That's going to be nuts, guys. Jeez. Unreal. Yeah, and pretty much for the NFC, in this game tonight between the Seahawks and the Niners, they're fighting for the 1 seed or the 5 and 6 seed. Who's going to win? They get the number 1 seed. Whoever loses gets the 5 or 6 seed, depending on how the rest of the games go. That's crazy. This is nuts. I can't wait. Tomorrow's going to be a great day of football. Man. Yeah, Miami would finish at 4-2 in the division. And this is the crazy part in the AFC East. If they beat the Patriots tomorrow, Miami, Buffalo, and New England would all be 4-2 in the division. All 3 of them. And then the Jets would be 0-6. Those poor Jets. Man. Do you know another thing that I never knew until just a few minutes ago when I was looking at it for the first time, the Jets are negative 180 points for point differential this year. Negative 180. That is crazy. I don't think any team in the NFL. Oh yeah, there's one. One team in the NFL has a worse point differential than the Jets. Can you guess who it is? Anybody got a guess? Who has a worse point differential than the 180 points that the Jets have? Yeah, it's the Raiders. I own you nailed it. It's the Raiders. So with that, let's say the game's finished the way I think. Let's look at the draft order. Miami would have the 12th seed, the 12th pick. And I think they would go between 12 to 11, I think is all the difference would be. I understand. Like I said, I don't hate on any of these fan bases, even the Jets fans, Bills fans. I don't hate on anybody because when things are bad, it's really hard to have pride in your team, right? I mean, we're Dolphins fans. We should understand that. We can dislike teams, but there's very few fan bases that I look at and I'm just like, you guys are a bunch of chumps. I mean, there are some, more specifically, certain fans that I'm like, you're dumb, but I don't hate on any fan base as a whole. There's just no point in it. I understand, when your team sucks, it's hard to be a fan. And when things are going good, it's really easy to be a fan, right? My goodness. Yeah, Miami would finish with the number 12 pick. And Las Vegas would have the number 1, the Giants would have the 2, the Jets would have the 3 pick. And I really think that if the Jets really want to go for Mendoza, they're going to have to move up. I don't think Mendoza makes it to 3. Because I mean, Las Vegas is probably going to take Mendoza. I couldn't see them not. But if the price is right, the Jets would literally have to be making a move with Las Vegas because the Giants don't really want another quarterback right now. I'm pretty sure. I think they're happy with what they have. But out of those top 4 teams, the Jets and the Raiders are the only 2 teams that really need a quarterback. And I don't know I couldn't imagine what it would take for the Raiders to move off of that number 1 pick. I couldn't imagine. With the carousel of quarterbacks that they've had, I just couldn't imagine them turning down Mendoza. That's why people are saying, "Oh, Miami should move up and take Really? Are we really going to entertain that? I just don't see how that's possible. I don't know how that could even be thought of as a possibility to move up 12 spots, what that would cost, especially knowing that the Raiders sitting there at number 1 desperately need a quarterback, even worse than we do. Like that's crazy. I can't imagine. I don't think this is the year to be doing a move like that. You'd have to move up so much to make something happen there. That's a good idea. And even if you didn't want to trade down, even if they didn't want to trade down, I think that you really got to look at trenches in this draft. This is going to be another great draft for offensive linemen. There's going to be a lot of quality offensive linemen in this draft all the way through it, 1st through 7th round. And I think you could really hit on a couple offensive linemen. And if we could do that, if we could just hit on a couple offensive linemen in this draft, it would really help us out a bunch. Look for linemen that have a better ability to draft to pass protect. I know that we like our linemen that can run block, but we need some that can pass protect too. And I think if you find some of these more balanced offensive linemen in this draft, I think it would help us out a ton. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, you can post a link for sure. I'm not going to take that down. Are you talking about the Jimmy Johnson system? Is that what you're talking about, Ionia? I mean, because it's not like 100% accurate, but it definitely does give you a basis for looking at what things are actually kind of close to what they're worth. So yeah, go ahead and post it, man. Proctor? Would I switch Proctor to the right side? That's one thing I don't. Yeah, as far as it took me a second to get on board with you, Indeed. I got you. As far as switching people from side to side, I mean, that's almost a death sentence, at least for a year or so. And we've already done it with Jonas Savaianaya, and we've seen kind of the results of what that can do. And it's not just Jonah that has had that happen, right? Very few offensive linemen can switch from left to right side. I mean, it's such a hard thing to do. It's so much easier to make a switch from in position. So, like going from left guard to left tackle to left guard, something like that. That's much easier to do than it is to go from left guard to right guard. I know it might not seem that way, but man, as someone who's played a lot of offensive line in his career, take it from me when I say this, like it is so hard to do that, and it takes an awful long time to retrain your brain and your motor skills to take into account that you're on the other side of the offensive line. So many things have to be different. Initial step, hands, everything has to change. You basically have to fight against your brain to do the opposite of what your brain is telling you you should do. It's very difficult. So I'm not sure I would put my team in the habit of switching offensive linemen from left side to right side. Um, Obviously, you want to have a swing lineman that has the ability to do that, but you don't really want to make a habit of doing that very often. It's so difficult. He might, and like I said, I'm not saying it's the same for everybody. I'm just saying as a whole, and for the most part, it's really difficult to make that switch. If he winds up in off season, if we end up getting him, and in the off season he winds up with the ability to do something like that, and we see his ability to do that, I mean, that might be good. I guess it just depends on the player, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure if Proctor's got the ability to do that. I mean, I haven't done a whole lot of research on him yet. I mean, I know basic stuff, but I suppose we'll see. What's up, Blake? Thanks for coming in, dude. Appreciate it. Make sure y'all that are in here throw that like down. Help me out. Yeah, I at this point, if it seems like a player that can actually make that kind of a switch and thrive, great. But if it's going to be another situation where it's kind of like what happened to Jonah, I would much rather see a little more immediate success than trying to switch him to a whole different side of the line. I want to say yes, but I feel like there's just been a few decisions that I'm not really down with, like the decision to switch Jonah, the decision to grab James Daniels, because obviously we know how that's worked out. And I know that decision wasn't really all the offensive line coaching staff, but they had to have had a say in it, right? I mean, so I don't know. I want to see. I want to see what happens. I feel like a change isn't always a bad thing, right? And I feel like our offensive line coaches have been there for a while, and if it means it's time for a change, it's time for a change. Like these are things that could change especially if we end up getting a new head coach. That's going to bring in a new offensive coordinator, and a lot of these offensive coaches are going to be thrown to the wayside. So I guess we'll see what happens. But as far as I go, if we get a new head coach, definitely think that we should try some new blood in the offensive line coordinating positions and coaching positions. But beyond that, if it's somebody that Mike McDaniel can work well with and he trusts, if we end up keeping Mike McDaniel, I'll keep my opinion out of it. But if we do keep Mike McDaniel, I mean, I'm let him put whoever he wants there, because the coaching staff that we've had at the offensive line position hasn't been horrible. No, my camera didn't go off. I'm just I'm moving around a little bit right now. I'll be back. My camera will be back in a second. Hierarchy of needs. Ooh. Well, right now it's really hard to say because there's so many things up in the air, right? Is this team, and it all kind of boils down to, is this team going to kick into full rebuild mode, or are we going to try to fix a few things and see what happens? And that question ultimately answers a lot of other things, because we got some players coming up now that are going to be commanding a pretty decent payday, like Devon Achane. We're going to have some players that are going to be lost, some players that are going to fall by the wayside here that we're going to have to cut ties with. Bradley Chubb is one of those players, unless he takes a pay cut. Tyreek Hill. Mainly what I'm seeing right now is, obviously, I really feel like I can list a couple things that I think we need, but as far as an actual hierarchy, I'm not sure if I can do that just at this moment. You're looking at like, as far as offense goes, we desperately need offensive line help. That hasn't changed, and I'm not saying the offensive line is trash. Our offensive line is done a lot better than I thought they would this year, and they're certainly playing a lot stronger near the end than I would have expected from what I've seen in the beginning of the year. So that's great. That's a good thing. I still think we need offensive line help for sure. That's a big need for us. Next thing that I think that we desperately need, and I'm going to stay away from coaches because I don't know what's going to happen there. It all depends on what the GM does, the new GM does when he comes in, and I think that he's going to have full control of that, obviously. Yeah, dude, exactly. If Greer was as worried as about the O-line as we were, he might still be here. I agree, and that's something that, like, me and guys like Curtis with Ace per head, and Josh and those guys, we all recognize, and not just us content creators, but you guys at home too. All of us fans, we all recognize the need that we have at offensive line. It's huge. It's a big need. And we had a couple players this year that were supposed to be able to help us out a little bit, and James Daniels, and it didn't work out, right? It just couldn't get healthy. And here we are giving a ton of money to this guy, and he hasn't even helped. And whatever happened to Liam Eichenberg? Same thing. These guys that were Liam was supposed to be our swing tackle, the guy that could come in and fill in when needed. And that's a position that Liam Eichenberg could play well as long as he's not a starter. He gets gassed, and then he starts falling over. So, we could have had a good setup there, but with those two guys helping out, but it didn't work out. So we need offensive line help, number one. Number two, I think we need a veteran quarterback. Not necessarily, and this is assuming that Tua ends up not being part of the team, which is what I see happening. Me personally, I see Tua not being a part of the Miami Dolphins next year, and if that's the case, we need a veteran quarterback as a backup, and we need to play Quinn Ewers at least through the end of next year. That's what I think needs to happen as far as quarterback goes. So, offensive lineman, play Quinn Ewers, get a veteran as a backup, and we need wide receiver help. I know it's crazy for us to be saying this as Dolphins fans, but no, I don't. I'm not going to switch up on that. Number one is offensive line help for sure, and wide receiver help is pretty high up there as well. I don't think Darren Waller is going to be part of the tight end room next year, so you could say you could try to grab a tight end somewhere in there too, and you grab the right tight end, that's going to help with our offensive line too. So I think that's another need. Those are the main needs that we have on offense. As far as defense goes, I wouldn't be against looking into the secondary a little bit for a safety and for another corner. I also think that we should be looking for more linebacker help, just to kind of bolster that a little bit, because we have some older guys that probably one or two of them might end up going to a different team, and it's natural to have that happen. I think that looking into linebackers this year would be a good thing. There's a lot of good linebackers in this draft. As far as wide receivers go, um, as long as the wide receiver isn't 5'9", I'd be happy. At this point, we need a possession receiver. We need somebody who can go up and get a ball. We need somebody who's big, something to offset the speedy type receiver that we have. We have a lot of those, and you can plug a speedy receiver in, any of them in, and they would work for what we need. But ultimately, you would like to have that speedy receiver to offset with a big, beefy receiver, somebody who's tall and big framed, almost like a pass catching tight end, but plays number 2 or number 1 spot, Z or Y receiver, somebody big. That's what we need. So yeah, I should have clarified. Definitely need a bigger receiver. And we do have a couple. Yeah, yeah. And when we do have a couple of bigger receivers that I think might end up panning out for us, but they need more play time, and that's just going to come. Maybe we'll see a little bit of action for them, or one of them, in because he's on the roster. The other one's on the practice squad. Maybe we'll see one of them get some more plays. Yes, thank you for involving one of my favorite players, Mr. Storm Duck. I love him so much. I'm gonna get him on here as a guest. I'm doing it. I just don't know how. I'm gonna find a way. Um, we also have to think that Cater Kohu will be back next year, and I think that he's really going to be chomping at the bit to make an impact. And Cater Kohu is proven, and he's a good corner, and I like his work ethic and attitude. So I think having him back would be huge for this defense. He's also a fantastic tackler and plays the slot well too. So I think having him back would be amazing. Have him work with some of these younger guys. Cater Kohu is an ultimate success story as a free agent, or a undrafted free agent. So I mean, he came from the very bottom, and so did Storm Duck. Same thing. Storm Duck came in, wasn't anything when he first came in, but the coaching staff saw something in him, kind of like Cater Kohu, and they let him work. And the thing about Cater Kohu and Storm Duck is they haven't gotten worse. They just continue to get better. And especially Storm Duck. Every time the guy hits the field, he does better and better. So I'm very excited to have them back. The big wide receiver can't get open fast enough for the O-line to sustain their blocks long enough. The play designs would have to have a mobile pocket, it can. And that's part of the reason why an offensive line that can pass block a little better is huge for us. It would unlock so many different opportunities. It would. And it might affect him a little bit. But we'll see. We'll see. I mean, you can take to the bank one thing about Cater Kohu. He's going to do everything he can to get back on that field and not have any afflictions. That you can count on. So if he can't, then it's not through any fault of his. He's just not that kind of guy. He's one of the hardest workers on this team. And he's still, even though he's hurt and been out all year, he's been around. Yeah, and indeed, it wouldn't hurt. It wouldn't hurt to have one or two bigger corners, kind of like Marshall, a bigger size. I wouldn't be against that at all. A little more of an imposing type of cornerback to go up against those other possession receivers from other teams. I think that would be huge for us. So I think on defense, it's I'm really happy with what our defensive line has been doing, and I think that our defensive line needs more time to develop. So I think the focus for defense in the draft and in free agency should be cornerback, safety, and middle linebacker. So that's kind of my thoughts. Is wide receiver, offensive line, veteran cornerback, our veteran quarterback as a backup, and corner, safety, and middle linebacker. Those are my thoughts. Is there anything that I didn't say that you guys think we need to? Because this is those opportunities and those times when hearing what everybody thinks and talking about it together, that's when opinions are changed and things happen. Indulge me. Tell me what you're thinking here when you're comparing those passing concepts. I'm assuming you're talking about outside edge and short quarters, right? Tell me what you're thinking. Do you know if there's any decent wide receivers that are going to be in free agency that don't attack people? Oh, the digs comment. Yeah, I don't know right now. That's the problem. And for wide receiver, I would really like to go looking for that kind of receiver in the draft. That's one of those things where you get so much more bang for your buck going to the draft for a possession receiver like that, right? Um, I mean, if the right one comes out, I mean, the problem with that is that the ones that you're going to find in free agency are going to want so much freaking money. That's the only bummer about looking into free agency for those types of receivers, is they all kind of have the same attitude and they all want the same money. So I suppose it just depends on what happens here at the end of the season, and we'll know shortly. Those kind of things will start working themselves out pretty quick. Seattle is up 13-3 now over San Francisco. Seattle is they're a good team this year. They're a really good team. Oh, I can't say that I was expecting it either. Man. Good pass from Purdy to Kittle. That helps out their cause a bunch. This game is not out of reach for San Francisco either. And the reason for that, Indade, is because I'm sure you've noticed it. How many times have you seen 3, sometimes even 4 receivers for the Dolphins in the same 15-yard bubble downfield? It's unreal. And I wonder why it's like that sometimes, because I feel like Mike tries to be cute with a lot of these routes, and he tries to help set inadvertent picks for other receivers to help get receivers open. And I understand that concept, but at the same time, if you do it too much, you just wind up having a pile of your own receivers bunched up in one spot on the field, and it makes it extremely easy for the defenses to cover that, right? All they got to do is step back and watch the bubble move across the field. So I agree. It frustrates me, those route combinations that end up doing that. It has little effect on defenders because they know where it's going to wind up going. Yeah, you're right about that. Like, I didn't really mention edge rushers. I guess maybe that should be something I should add to my list. It could wind up being a very big need. I mean, we'd need to see a big step from Chop Robinson this offseason. And we could. He's still very young, and he had limited play time this year, for sure. And some players need more than just 1 or 2 snaps every 10 snaps to be able to get into the game. And while I can understand that, I mean, I don't think they were. I mean, there was a couple plays that were kind of similar, but I really feel like the passing, the midfield and deep field routes were a little more common when we had Quinn in there those last couple games. Not even just against Tampa, but the last couple games, it seems like we're using a little more of the field, and I think with Tua, with the regression that he's had with his ability to put zip on the ball and get the ball downfield in time, I think with that difficulty Tua has been having, Mike McDaniel had his hands pretty well tied, and I think that's part of the problem. Quinn got the calls in pretty fast. Is that a Quinn thing, or the passing concepts were more simplified? I think passing concepts were much more simplified. And Mike McDaniel did admit that you changed things for the quarterback you have. He didn't say, yeah, we dumbed it down for Quinn, but I think they kind of did slow a little bit of it down. And I think with that, it ended up helping not just Quinn, but the entire team, right? Um, Ultimately, we'll see what ends up happening as we move into the off season and when we get into next season. That's part of the reason. Part of me, not all of me, but part of me wants to say, man, I wish we could see what Mike McDaniel can do with a quarterback who's a little less restricted, right? One that has a little bit of mobility and the ability to cut bait and run if he needs to. One that has the ability to zing a ball downfield. One that has the ability to throw a 15-yard out, because that is that one pass that Tua struggled with, the 15-yard out. And that's something that, I'm sorry, and I'm not like talking down about Tua here, but as a professional quarterback in the NFL, you really need to have the ability to throw that pass. It's very important in the repertoire for a quarterback to be able to throw an out route. Yeah, and it's something that Tua has struggled with, and it's partly because that pass, that 15-yard out, it needs to be on a line. It has to be a zipper, and Tua's having a hard time putting zip on the ball, and that's a turnover for Seattle. My goodness, Seattle's defense is stingy. Oh, you can't do that, Brock. Man, yeah. So I mean, is part of it? No, I don't think they would be. I don't think they are. And I think that's partially because the field is much more open and available for a quarterback like Quinn Ewers. It's going to be an interesting test tomorrow against New England. We'll get to see some things because New England doesn't have a bad secondary. They got a good secondary. I feel like their run blocking or their run defense is not great, but this is one of those games where Quinn's going to have to pass. Not all the time, but he's going to have to throw some balls. And we're going to see. So I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to watch the routes, and I want to see kind of what we've been talking about here. I want to see what Mike McDaniel does to attack this, because I think that in that Tampa game, we saw less of it. We saw less bunching in the field, and I think that because the field's much more open for a quarterback that can zip the ball downfield and put a ball on a line, I think because of that alone, Mike McDaniel is able to spread the receivers out a little bit. He's not working with only a third of the field. And like I said, I'm not saying that Ewers is the best quarterback ever. I'm not saying he's the second coming of Dan Marino. But if you watch the games, and these are the things where I look at, and no offense to Kurt Warner, because I mean he's an amazing quarterback and a great dude, and he knows football. But watching Dolphins games, for those of us that watch the game, I watch every game 5, 6, 7 times sometimes, and watching these games, I think it does matter that Tua was personally, my opinion alone. I think it does matter who the quarterback is, especially because Tua was very limited in his passing ability. I'm not saying he always was. I'm not saying he was always like that. But this year, there has been a significant regression in his ability, not just to get the ball out in time, because he has had that a little bit of struggle with that. But aside from that, ball velocity, he's never been the strongest quarterback, but he is struggling greatly with putting zip on the ball this year. That has to do with footwork, follow through, and I just don't think he has the strength right now because of whatever's going on with his body. I don't think it's concussions. I think it's his hip. But that severely limits a quarterback's ability to put the ball in places where it needs to be put, especially with some passes that need to be put there with speed. And we saw, even in the last couple games, balls that Tua would not have thrown just because of the fact that it needed to have a certain amount of velocity. Okay. Maybe as far as that goes, maybe it isn't so much the QB, but it's just Mike McDaniel thinking about opening up more. Maybe it's all on Mike. It could be. I don't know. And if that's the case, if it's the case that the routes wouldn't matter, I don't know. I don't know. And if that's the case, then that falls on Mike McDaniel alone. Now let's hope that whatever the case is, either way, this is something that's the responsibility of the general manager to recognize, right? And if that's the case, then our new general manager should be able to figure that out through personal meetings with Mike McDaniel and meetings with the quarterbacks. He has those meetings, the new general manager. That's what I'm saying. As soon as we have a general manager, all kinds of things are going to start happening. It's going to be an exciting time as Dolphins fans. My goodness, there's going to be so much to talk about. It's going to be great. I guess it depends. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. I'm not sure though. I think yeah, I mean, I like Kyle Krabs. I like him a lot. I think he's a really smart evaluator of football talent and football itself. Sometimes some of his stuff can come across as a little dry, and I think some people just don't gravitate towards that. But man, I like his stuff. He's got a lot of insight. Is there anything that was a good point about edge rushers though? And I think is there anything else that I'm missing? Is there anything else I'm missing from what I said about offense and defense and needs that we have? Because I feel like that's the main thing. I agree, George. Let's mix it up. There's nothing to lose. We have nothing to lose. Might as well just have some fun with it, right? I mean, we have some people were saying that let's see here. Some people were saying that Devon Achane is on IR. He's not. He's doubtful. He probably won't play. But if he doesn't, all the more reason to open it up a little bit and air it out. Get it to some of these other players we have, right? I mean, Darren Waller's moved to injured reserve for sure. Jalen Waddle's questionable. At this point, why play them? I mean, I understand the Jalen Waddle effect because Jalen Waddle is 90 yards from 1,000 yards for the season. I'd like to see that. Yeah, I mentioned cornerback in the secondary and safety. I say secondary as both of them, safety and cornerback. I would like to look into both of those positions for sure. Yeah, exactly. That was the one group, and yeah, you're right. He only finds the good ones in the end of the rounds or in undrafted free agents. So, but yeah, Minka Fitzpatrick is out in this game. Darren Waller's out. Jalen Waddle's questionable. If Jalen Waddle's good to go, I'd expect him to play just because of the fact that he really wants to get 1,000 yards, and I don't blame him. Devon Achane's probably out. It's gonna be interesting because this is an opportunity against a good team to play some of our young guys and see how they do. You know, I'm really excited to see how our defensive line does against the Patriots' offensive line and against Drake May, trying to get to him and get pressure on him and keep him in the pocket because Drake May can move if he has to, and you can't allow him to do that if you want to try to stop him in this game. So it's going to be a chance for us to really good. It's a really good evaluation game for us. I'm torn. I'm torn on this, dude. It's because of guys like Achane that make me torn. Because if we and then you say, do you consider Achane an exception? I was getting right to it. You heard me say it. If we didn't have Achane, I would subscribe 100% to that theory that running backs can be found anywhere, right? It's not hard to say you can't find a running back. if you have a really good offensive line, you can get a good running back, you know, for an easy price. But the problem is that you have every once in a while you have a player come around like Devon Achane, and Devon Achane has superstar written all over him. And like I said, I'm not normally of the group that says you're never going to find another Devon Achane. And this is one of those situations where we might never find another Devon Achane. The problem is if you use him too much, you're going to use him up. He's going to get injured a lot, and then you're going to have issues. So I think that Devon Achane is going to command some money. I don't know if Devon Achane is very happy in Miami. He likes it here. He's a dog. He's got a proper attitude. He works hard. I want nothing more than for him to stay with Miami. But he is gonna require a pretty good contract, and I think most people agree with that. I don't think anybody thinks, "Oh, you can get him for cheap." No, he's gonna need some money. And I'm torn on do you pay him or not, or do you subscribe to the theory that you were talking about, where you don't pay big for running backs because they're an abused position, and they are. But Achane has the ability to affect so many different aspects of offense, and that's the problem. So I'm not sure where I stand on the Achane thing right now. I think we should keep him as long as possible, and take advantage of the fact that he's one of the best running backs in the league for sure, and his dual threat ability is amazing. He can catch balls like a slot receiver. He's got breakaway speed. He's got separation ability. He has these intangibles that receivers need to have to be successful. And he can be a bruiser. He can lay his shoulder down and he can push through people. And these are things that he's too good. Yeah. This is the same Omar Kelly, the same guy that says he doesn't believe in anything except for, or he says he doesn't believe in salary cap. You could tag him, but as far as running back goes, you're still going to be paying. What is the tag on him? Would be like, what, $20 million? Can't remember. He's a total package, and that's the problem. It sucks because I don't know what we're going to end up doing with him, and I really hope that he doesn't go anywhere else. I hope that, number one, I hope Miami does him right, and number two, I hope that he doesn't want some inordinate amount of money. I hope that doesn't happen either. I hope they both can work together to get it figured out. Dude, what's up, man? I was wondering when you were going to be back in here. Good to see you, dude. Yeah, all that dead cap. And if you go, if anybody wants to go look, if you're curious, go look at our dead cap situation. It's ridiculous. We're still paying Xavier Howard. And if we end up letting go of Tua, that dead cap is going to be murderous. We're going to have so much money coming out in our dead cap. It's unreal. It's going to hurt. But at this point, as far as Tua goes, I'm not a Tua hater. I'm not a Tua lover. I just don't think this is the place for Tua anymore. And we've put ourselves in this situation. And there's a few of us that while we were wanting to see more of Tua, like I was up until, the end of last year, it's still, I don't know. It's rough. I didn't want to sign to a big contract. I wanted to keep him on his 5th year. And then I think that if it would have played out, I think we would end up letting him go, and we wouldn't have been in this huge amount of debt that we're about to be in. So because of that, we're going to have to load up on cheap contracts. And that tells me that while we're digging ourselves out of this dead cap hell, We might not have the most successful team in the NFL, but that doesn't mean that we can't develop young talent, that we can't get some of these younger players to perform for us, that we can't have a team. It doesn't mean that we can't have a team that we can be proud of. We can. The Dolphins are going to have like 32 players signed next season. It's going to be weird. Like I said, I can't wait to see what ends up happening, because you're right. It's going to be hard to sign everybody we need to sign for the next couple of years. Next 1 year for sure. Things will start opening up after that a little bit. And we cut ties with a couple players, and we can make a little bit of room to at least have a somewhat successful, possibly season, or at least field a team. That's how rough this is going to be this year. So you need a general manager in here that has the ability to do some things and think outside of the box, and we'll see what that ends up looking like. Yeah, build the team the right way. And what does that mean? That means building from the draft with young talent, developing players, right? That's what that means. That's what that means, and that's what we need to do. We're going to have to build this team off of rookie contracts and young players and free agents that just need a chance, that didn't necessarily have the best draft and are looking for a place to prove themselves. But at the same time, when you bring those players in to prove themselves, if they don't prove themselves, let them go. Let them go and look for more. It should be a carousel, just a constant flow of players. Give them their shot in the preseason, in the offseason. But if it's not working out, don't be afraid to let them go and look elsewhere. Yeah, you draft inside to outside. That's it. I mean, essentially, yeah, he kind of is. It's not fun. Looks like Seattle's going to win this game, guys, and that's Seattle's knocking on the door right now, and they're up 13-3. There's 2 minutes and 30 seconds left in the fourth. So, as far as I'm seeing here, it looks like Seattle's going to steal that number 1 seed in the NFC, and San Fran's going to have the number 6 seed, I think, is what that's going to look like. Oh, big game for Miami tomorrow. Big evaluation game for us as fans. And we should be looking at these things. How's the offensive line look? How's our defensive line? Are they getting enough pressure? How's the young guys doing? I tell you what, Phillips and Biggers are beasts, and those two need to stay, and they need to have lots of play time. If they put in a good season of work, they are going to be tough to stop next year. Absolutely. I like your style. That's what I'm thinking. How are you going to miss a field goal from the 4-yard line? Is that what that was? Oh, jeez. That's hilarious. It remains 13-3 off the missed field goal in Seattle. Oh my goodness. Or in San Fran. Holy crap. And see, now they got to go, though. Now that San Fran's, they really got to move, and I just don't see it happening. I think Seattle walks away with this one for sure. I mean, that's a very real possibility. We'll see what ends up happening. Right now, I'm looking at certain players, mainly the rookies. I'm looking at Jason Marshall. I'm looking at these guys, and I want to see how they do. I'm going to give one more look. I really feel like Jonas Vayanaya has played a lot better these last few weeks, maybe 5 to 6 weeks. He's played a lot better. I think he's getting better. And I'm of the intention that you draft a rookie, especially a first, second, third rounder. You don't give up on them until you give them a few years. And it's not going to cost you anything. This was Jonah's first year, and I think that he's turned a corner and he's playing a lot better. So I want to see that continue. And I think against New England, this is going to be a good test for him. So I'm excited. Yeah, but you know what? They're going to have all off season to do something. If they don't, like I said, they need to show improvement to maintain their position on this team. If they don't work right in the off season, then you're going to have to let them go because you can't have them risk you games. Luckily, Jonas Vaianaia does have that work ethic. I can't speak for Grant. I don't know if he does or not. But I think that being with the team during the off season and being able to take advantage of programs and stuff like that and be able to really lock down their craft, I think for Jonah especially, I think it's going to help him a lot. I think we'll see a much more improved Jonas Vaianaia next year, personally, but we will see. Withholding judgment. You're right, George. There is a lot of good talent on this team. It's there. It just needs to be developed, right? And it needs to be developed properly, like you said. A lot of that does fall on coaches, and the other part of it falls on the players themselves. You can't have just good coaches, and you can't have just players with the ability to develop. You need both. You're right. It's going to be interesting to see what happens this year. And once we have that general manager, we have to have that. This is the thing. We have to have that locked down very quickly. It's not one of those things where we can wait till, a month or two into the off season. This needs to happen like within the first 3 to 4 weeks after the season ends. It can't go any longer than that because the general manager has to have time to evaluate the team and prepare for the draft, which is in April. So, I mean, these things have to happen pretty quick. So once that general manager, expect the general manager, the announcement to be the first thing. It has to be. It has to be. And once that happens, I think there's going to be some moves very quickly. I think it's going to be quick. I'm going to say within the first 3 or 4 weeks after the season ends, that's when I'm saying we're going to have our general manager. We have to. I mean, when you think about it, anything else is going to be. I'm going to look at it as a failure if it takes any longer than that. Especially since they've brought somebody in Troy Aikman, who's specifically here to evaluate general manager positions, general manager applicants, and to move this process along. I think Stephen Ross and the Dolphins brass recognizes the need for this to be a prudent decision, not quick or fast, but they need to make their decision prudently, right? It needs to happen. You don't have time to screw around. No, I don't think he is, brother. I don't think he is. I think this was a good decision by Miami, and I think that Troy Aikman is genuinely trying to help. Right? I think this is a good thing. Yeah, he looks hurt. Yeah, he looks hurt. Purdy's on the ground writhing. I'm gonna watch it again here. Oh yeah, he got sandwiched, dude. Oh, here we go. Are you leaning towards a new coach with the general manager or a 1-year tryout with McDaniel? Me personally, what am I leaning towards? Look, I'm not satisfied with the performance by Mike McDaniel, and that's a bottom line fact for me. I'm not satisfied with what I've seen. Now, I do think that there are some things that have limited him severely, and I think that those situations have been rectified. And I think that I would like me personally, it's not to say we need to keep McDaniel for 3 more years. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying fire McDaniel now. What I think I would like to see is I would like to see what happens this year with Mike McDaniel. However, if a GM comes in and says, I can't do this with Mike McDaniel, then I support that. Basically, what I'm saying is I support what the GM, this new GM that comes in, wants to do. Why? Why do I blindly support a GM that I don't even know who it is? It's simple. Because it's different. Because what we've had isn't working. So any change that the GM wants to make, whatever that may be, I'm for it. I want to see change. I want to see something different, guys and girls. That's what I want. And I want to see different results. And that's, if you want to see different results, you have to do something different. What is the definition of insanity? It's doing the exact same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. That's where I'm at. So if the GM comes in and wants to get rid of Mike McDaniel and start over fresh and nuke a bunch of people, like you said there, Big Oats, yeah, I'm down for it. I support it. If he wants to run one trial year with McDaniel, you got 6 games, Mike. 6 games to not go 2-4, to not go 1-5. You got 6 games to show me that you can learn as a head coach, improve your status in your game as a head coach, and improve your team. If you can't do it, you're going to be gone by week 7. Whatever he wants to do, I support. Whoever it is. Because it's different. I support this. I'm down with you, man. I'll only believe there's a change if the Dolphins seriously address the trenches and don't give up multiple assets for a singular player. I agree. Build the boring way. And the boring way, I think we both agree here in Date, is the boring way is the right way. I want that. Structure. Young talent, development, a strong offensive line and a strong defensive line bolstering both sides of the ball. That's what I want. And I hope we have it. I think we all deserve it. We've seen what happens when you build the flashy team. You get a little bit of fun for a year or two, and that's about it. The game's gone final for Seattle, and San Francisco is 13-3. So San Francisco takes the 6th seed, 5 or 6 seed, depending on how the games go this week or this tomorrow, and Seattle gets number 1. Ross does like the flash, but here's my one thought there, in Date, is that I think this is a different move by Ross in hiring Troy Aikman. I think that this is Ross recognizing that he's not the one. Ross essentially is saying, I'm not the one to be doing this search. I'm not the one to be facilitating this interview process and recruitment of GMs. This isn't me. I can't do this. We need somebody who knows a little more about the game to do it. And I think that's why he's brought in Troy Aikman. And I do think Troy Aikman is a perfect type of person to do this. So, and you very well could be right. I love what you're saying here. Like I said, I think that if we're opening up Mike McDaniel a little bit with limitations that he's been held with, I wouldn't be against giving him a chance. But if they don't want to give him a chance and they want to cut him or fire him and move on, I support that. And it's weird because I've been kind of wishy-washy on Mike McDaniel all year. One week I'll say fire him. The next week I'll be like, maybe we need to give him a little more time. And I just keep going back and forth. So it's a tough one for me to make that decision and make that opinion. But basically, I support whatever happens here. Either way, if Mike McDaniel it fails this, if he stays and he fails in the beginning half of the season, he's gone. And either way, he's, unless barring a major change in his coaching style, maybe not style is the right word, but his effectiveness. Barring a big change there in his effectiveness as a coach, he's gone. He's meddled with a lot in the past. But I think that putting somebody else in charge of it is Stephen Ross stepping back. Of course, Stephen Ross is going to have the final say. But bringing in someone like Troy Aikman to head up this search, conduct the interviews, do the research, and all of that, I think that this is a stance and a statement by Stephen Ross in and of itself, saying I don't want to be a part of this. I think I need to let somebody who's a little more qualified handle this, and I'll sign the check. And if that's the case, then more power to Stephen Ross. I'm very happy that he's decided to do that. But time will tell. We have that list. I still have that list sitting here on the bottom of my computer. I still have that list of GM. And I've actually added one, Highsmith from the Patriots. So my list is at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people now. And I would be ecstatic if any of those 6 people wind up being the new GM for the Dolphins. And there's even a few that aren't on my list that I know of the names that I would be okay with. Ultimately, it's something different. And at the way we've been going and the way things have been handled, anything is better than what we've had. It couldn't be handled any worse. So, Gator, what's up, man? Thanks for coming in. Catching me on the tail end here, but yeah, I've been watching that game too. Yep, Niners choked out. They're going to be the 5th or 6th seed now. I mean, I see what you're saying, but Troy Aikman, he talks to a lot of NFL people, not just players, owners, front office people, coaches. He talks to a lot of people. He's involved with a lot of teams strictly because of what he does for a career. By being a commentator, not just commentating. People think that that's all that they do, but that's not. They do so much. They talk to so many people, so many interviews, so much commentary. He's got a good head on his shoulders, and even like I said, continuity and chemistry and things like that. That is something that Troy Aikman understands greatly, because Troy Aikman was part of one of the greatest teams, greatest dynasty style teams of an era in NFL history. And at the same time, that Dallas Cowboys team that he helped basically hold together, and there's multiple coaches, players, owners who were involved around that time that would say the same thing about Troy Aikman. That team would not have made it without Troy Aikman. He is the reason that team held together, because there's plenty of shows about those Dallas Cowboys from the 90s. He was solely responsible for holding that team together when they should have exploded at so many different opportunities. So many players with egos and attitudes that were beyond anything you could possibly imagine. Troy Aikman held them all together and got a couple Super Bowls out of it. Troy Aikman knows what it takes to make a good team. I guarantee it. He's never been a GM. He doesn't want to be a GM. But just because he doesn't want to be one doesn't mean that he doesn't have the ability to head up a search for one. I think that he's going to be able to do a good job for this. I don't think it's a money grab, me personally. I respect your opinion and what you're saying. It makes sense. And I'm sure there's more than just you who think that it could be a money grab. It could be. I just don't think that it is. I'm gonna go live tomorrow. I think at near the afternoon games. I'm gonna try to do the Patriots game, but I'm not positive right now. We'll see how everything goes. But be on the lookout. You might see me pop up there. At least one team in my household is having a good season. I live in Washington. My girl's a Seahawks fan. I told her it must be nice to have one of the best coaches in the NFL. Oh, man. Poor Blake. Oh, man. Hey, you know what, though? If you've got a happy girl, it's all good. Makes your life better if your girl's happy. It's going to be a good day of games tomorrow, guys. And I can't wait for the wild card weekend. Oh, my goodness, it's going to be great. I think that's about it for me tonight, guys. I want to thank you guys all for being here and talking to me and having a good chat. It's been a wonderful evening with you. I hope you guys all have a good rest of your evening. And I'll be on tomorrow at some point, whether it's just for an hour or so afterwards, or I might be live streaming the game. We'll see. I can't guarantee it. I'll try to give as much notice as I can, and we'll talk to you guys then. But until I see you guys next time, please, fins up, stay hopeful if you can. I know it's hard, and we'll talk to you guys next time.